Good evening, children. This is Sushma, Department of Science. So in the last class, we dealt about the two major important group of microorganisms. Those are bacteria and virus. So today we will be dealing about the next group, that is fungi and algae. So coming to fungi, there are so many types of fungi, and the fungi, they are mainly grouped as unicellular and multicellular. So here we will see what is fungi. So they are a group of eukaryotic organisms that lack chlorophyll, that is they do not have chlorophyll, and they grow in dark environments, and as I said earlier, they may be unicellular or multicellular. Example of a unicellular fungus is yeast, and example of a multicellular fungus is penicillium. And if you see, they are found in all kinds of habitat, and mainly they are included under the kingdom fungi. So we are studying about the important group called fungi, and these fungi, the study of fungi is called mycology. And some fungi, if you take, they are macroscopic. So what do you mean by macro? Macro means large. So macroscopic fungus, example is mushroom, and there are about 70,000 species of fungi living in the world. So how many species of fungi lives in the world? There are about 70,000 species. So we have seen about fungi. So these are all the general characteristics of fungi, or you can also call them as general features. So they are either unicellular or multicellular, example yeast, and multicellular, example penicillium. So they are found in all habitats, and the study of fungi, it is called as mycology, and there are about 70,000 species of fungus. So can you all see the structure of fungi? So this is the structure of fungi, and here you will have the rhizoid. This is the rhizoid. So this rhizoid, it anchors the fungi on substrate and absorbs the nutrients, and this is the green colored thing, that is the hyphae, which is a long filamentous structure which is together called mycelium. And coming here, this is the sporangiophore, which is a specialized fungal hypha, a stalk of sporangium. So this is the sporangiophore, and the next one is sporangium. So this one is called as the sporangium. It is nothing but it is an enclosure unit where the spores are formed, and finally when the sporangium bursts, the spores are released, and they are nothing but they are biological particles which fungi made it for reproduction. So these spores, they are mainly involved for reproduction. Coming to the cell structure of yeast. So as I said, yeast is an example of unicellular fungi, and they are found freely in the atmosphere. And so can you all see the cell structure of yeast? This is the cell structure. So you will have the cytoplasm, then ribosomes, then mitochondria, vacuole, and this is the cell wall, then this is the lipid granule, then cell membrane. So ribosomes, they are involved in protein synthesis, and cytoplasm, as you all know, these are the living structures of the cell where all the cell organelles are embedded inside the cytoplasm, and the jelly-like fluid or matrix, we call them as cytosol. And if you take the structure, the cell is ovoid in shape. It contains cell wall and a nucleus. The cytoplasm here is granular and has vacuoles, organelles, and glycogen and oil globules. Mainly yeast helps in fermentation. So what is fermentation? It is an anaerobic process. You all know that yeast is an unicellular organism which can respire anaerobically. It does not need oxygen. Even in the absence of oxygen, it can survive. So it also reproduces by budding. So the method of reproduction in yeast is by budding. So we will move on to the next one. So the next important group of microorganism is algae. So you all know what is algae, is it not, children? So algae are very simple plant-like eukaryotic organisms. So we have got two broad divisions here. One is the prokaryote and the other one is eukaryote. So what is a prokaryote? Prokaryote is an organism which does not have a well-defined nucleus. Okay? Whereas eukaryotes, they have got a prominent nucleus, and algae, if you see, they are rich in chlorophyll, and they can be seen as thin film on the surface of lakes and ponds, and therefore they are also known as grass of water. So algae, Tamil la vandu paasanu solluvom, that is algae. Okay, so since they are seen in water, and in lakes and ponds they are also called as grass of water. And if you see the mode of nutrition here, it is autotrophic. So, what are autotrophs? Auto means self, autotrophic, those organisms which can prepare their food by themselves, they are called as autotrophs, and they produce their own food with the help of chloroplast. So, chloroplast is an important cell organelle which helps in the production of food. That is why we call chloroplast as the food producer of the cell. And chloroplast, it contains chlorophyll, green pigments which help for photosynthesis, and here the study of algae is called as algology, or you can also call it as phycology. So, next we are going to see about the different types of algae. So, many algae exist in nature. So, there are some different types, some of them are green algae. The first one is green algae, the second one is blue green algae, and the third one is red algae. So, coming to the size, they vary from 1 micron to 50 meter, and they may also be here also there are two broad divisions. They can also be unicellular and multicellular. So, unicellular and macroscopic algae example is Chlamydomonas, whereas multicellular and macroscopic means, micro means small, you all know that, and macro means large. So, example of macroscopic algae is Sargassum. So, unicellular algae, they exhibit varieties of shapes like spherical, rod, spindle, etc. So, you can see the shapes. So, these are the different types of algae. First one is Chlamydomonas, second one is Olvox, then Eulothrix, fourth one is Fritiella, fifth one is Ulva, then the last one is Hydrodictyon. So, whereas multicellular algae, they are in the form of filaments and branches. For example, Eulothrix. So, Eulothrix is in the form of a filament. So, unicellular algae, the best example of unicellular algae is Chlamydomonas, and the best example for multicellular algae is Eulothrix and Sargassum. So, these algae also they exist in two forms. They may either be unicellular and they can also be multicellular. So, now we are going to see about the types of edible algae. What do you mean by edible? Edible means which we can consume as food. First one is blue green colored seaweeds, example chlorella and spirulina. Second one is brown colored seaweeds, arame, vacuum, kelp and kombu. Third one is green colored seaweeds, they are nothing but sea grapes and sea lettuce, and the last one is red colored seaweeds, nori and dulse and Irish moss. So, these are some types of red algae, blue colored, then brown colored. So, the colors also vary, green colored seaweeds and red colored seaweeds. All these algae are consumed as food in our country and also in western countries. So, coming to the cell structure of Chlamydomonas, as I said, Chlamydomonas is an example of a unicellular alga. So, if you see the structure, this is structure of Chlamydomonas, it is a simple motile freshwater algae. What do you mean by motile? So, motile means which can move freely. They are oval, spherical or pyriform in shapes. So, they occur in three shapes, they may be oval, spherical or pyriform. So, this is the structure of Chlamydomonas. So, pyriform is nothing but it is a pear shape, it is a common one. So, this alga can be found commonly in ponds, ditches and water tanks, and they have a narrow anterior and a broad posterior end. I hope you can all see the structure of Chlamydomonas very clearly, and it is surrounded by a thin and firm cell wall which is made up of cellulose. So, the cell wall is made up of cellulose here, and if you see the cytoplasm, so cytoplasm is in between the cell membrane. So, cytoplasm is somewhere here in between the cell membrane and the chloroplast. So, what is cytoplasm? It is nothing but it is the living structure of the cell, and all the cell organelles will be embedded inside the cytoplasm. So, so in this Chlamydomonas, the cytoplasm is seen between the cell membrane and the chloroplast. And the cell contains a nucleus which is dark, and it lies inside the cavity of the cup shaped chloroplast, and the anterior part of the cell it bears two flagella. So, flagella, what is the main function? They help in locomotion. So, two contractile vacuoles are also seen at the base of the flagellum. So, here you can see the, yes, so this is the cytoplasm and this is the flagella which helps in locomotion, and contractile vacuoles are also seen at the base of the flagellum. So, the anterior side of the chloroplast, it contains a red spot. So, this is the red spot. It contains a red colored red spot which is in the anterior side, and Chlamydomonas, if you see, it belongs to an unicellular alga. So, what is the mode of reproduction here? It has got two modes. It can reproduce either by sexual, it can reproduce both by sexual and asexual methods of reproduction. So, it can reproduce both by sexual and asexual methods. Hope you all enjoyed watching this video. Thank you for watching.